It's the Married with Channels podcast. My name is Moose.
And I'm Jody.
We're a married couple, and we talk about some TV shows and some movies.
Sometimes.
Sometimes, indeed, sometimes. A lot of times. How are you, Jody?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm okay.
Cool.
Yeah. Let's begin right off this week with this. Only Murders in the Building.
Season 2.
Season 2. Steve Martin, Martin Short, Selena Gomez, and a very underappreciated supporting cast.
Tina Fey, who I love.
Tina Fey's in there. You've got, some of the people who play residents in the building. Those are great characters.
Absolutely.
Played by great actors, and just an overall good supporting cast going on, and just a good show. Season 2, I have to admit, the first couple episodes, I was not into it.
Same.
I was not feeling it just didn't have that same. And at that point, I was thinking, okay, was this like a one season kind of, this is different. It's kind of like a whodunit with some quirkiness and some comedy, and the charm is there, but has that worn off? And over the season, and our friend told me this essentially, like, oh, just wait, it gets better.
Yeah.
And I think it did get better.
I think I would agree with that. I like it when we agree on stuff.
Yeah.
I kind of felt the same. I was kind of like, it's just kind of more of the same, like a template that they've stamped out. And I don't know. I didn't really quite get into it either. But then it got better.
Agreed.
It got more complex with like, ooh, who could it be? And then you kind of get really interested in like, okay, I got to try and figure it out myself. So.
Yeah. And maybe part of the charm of the first season was that kind of newness, that world building that they were putting there. I thought like this cool apartment building in New York City, which is classic and old, and the residents there seem all kind of lived in and real, a little exaggerated at times, but, and you had a great cast.
Mm-hmm.
And this season, when it started, it was very much for me feeling like, okay, I don't know if we have a good story here.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we get it. Bunny was killed in the first season. But then as the season went on, season 2, things started to kind of really, the pieces started to fall in line. I like that they spent a little time on Bunny for an episode, because I think in the first season, we just viewed Bunny as this annoying pain in the ass. I don't know what you call it.
Building manager.
Yeah. And we get a little more shade, a little more layers to Bunny. And
also some of the other characters too. Like you heard a little bit about the doorman and a little bit more into Steve Martin's character with like the introduction of Lucy, his stepdaughter.
I'm confused about that. I don't think it's his. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
it was his stepdaughter.
At first I thought that was his daughter.
Right.
And then from his divorced wife. But no, she's a daughter of his ex-wife.
Yes.
Stepdaughter, no blood there.
Right.
Yeah, so she shows up.
Yep.
Were you towards the end of this season kind of thinking, is Lucy the murderer?
Kind of.
Well, what would be her motive?
Not towards the end. I was kind of thinking that when she was kind of going all around the secret passageways and stuff. Like, what is this girl up to? What's her thing?
Yeah. And we should point out there will be spoilers. I think at this point, people who are watching the show have probably seen the whole season. But
hope so.
You've been warned. There's spoilers coming.
Yeah.
And I think the reflex when a new character is introduced into a show, your first instinct is, okay, they're a good possibility of being the perpetrator.
Absolutely.
The murderer. So then you have to kind of work back from that a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, so Lucy's a new character. Why is she showing up all of a sudden?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't really understand if she have any motive to kill Bunny, but maybe there's some. She used to live in the building, so maybe there's some history there.
See, I felt the same way with Alice, the artist that got involved with Mabel's character. It was like, okay, this new person, you're a suspect.
Exactly. And the whole thing with Alice, it was as we kept going along with her, and then like, what's Selena Gomez's character? Mabel walks in on Alice doing this recreation of crazy
the tragedy.
Mabel. The tragedy, yeah. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
that's not something somebody I would trust would do.
Sure.
But at the same time, she's an artist and this is part of her art and nobody's getting hurt here in this. Anyway.
Well, and that's essentially kind of why Mabel ended that relationship, is like, I can't trust you now. Done. Yeah. So it's interesting. I love how each character kind of evolves and grows, and you see some of that evolving and growing too. You know, they all kind of keep trying to improve themselves through what they're going through. And whatnot. I mean, even Oliver and, you know.
Yeah. And his son.
And Charles too. I mean, just kind of learning more about his dad, and just all of those characters kind of evolve and grow through this season as well. So that was pleasant to watch.
Yeah. Do you think the Oliver and his son, you know, the DNA test stuff, did that really add anything? It obviously didn't add to the main plot.
I mean, I think it kind of spoke more to forgiveness of Nathan Lane's character, like, because we come to find out that, you know, that's kind of an enemy of Oliver's, not only because he, you know, helped Tim cover up his transgressions, but now he's slept with Oliver's wife. It is the father of his son, you know, and so, you know, it was kind of cool to see that evolve, you know, Oliver's forgiveness of Teddy kind of comes to fruition there.
By the way, I'm going to FaceTime my dad soon. We might have to pause.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just didn't think the Oliver stuff with the DNA. I get what you're saying. Yeah, it does lend itself to the Teddy storyline, and it increases more of the. I don't know if it really was necessary, though. Even with the Teddy storyline, who cares at this point?
Sure.
You know, I think that's a character that could go away and you wouldn't really miss it.
Yeah.
But obviously the first season, Teddy and his son are key characters. But anyway, Alice, back to Alice. Towards the end of the season, about episode 8, I was like, I bet Alice did it.
Right.
And then in the finale,
they
essentially accused Alice.
Yes.
Said she did it. And I was like, oh, she did do it.
Right.
But then they used that as a ruse.
It's a decoy.
They knew that Poppy couldn't stand by and go like, no way.
Yeah.
Like, I did it.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, Poppy was the murderer.
Can I tell you my favorite part of that episode? When they do the slow motion. It was so great. Yeah. Like, that's really hard to do if you think about it. And that cast, I don't know how many takes they had to do to execute that pretty perfectly, but they did that perfectly, and it was so great.
Here's the scene where they revealed the killer.
Do you have some kind of allergy to Mrs. Gambolini, perhaps?
It's so strange. The killer sneezed when fleeing the crime scene.
Is that a crime to be allergic to rancid bird molting? And what, you're gonna believe some young girl that's hiding in your walls?
Only the killer could have known there was a girl hiding in the walls that night.
And her name is Lucy.
And yours is Becky.
Who told you that?
We did.
I wasn't stabbed. It's all theater.
It's interesting. I like the big kind of Poirot, Columbo reveal at the end, you know?
Yeah, that was good.
And it seems like the murder mystery thing is kind of back in style over the last few years.
Oh,
between this and Knives Out, and you got the new Knives Out coming here soon.
Sure.
And people are redoing the Agatha Christie movies.
Awesome.
So maybe murder mysteries are kind of a new, or having a revitalization. Back to Poppy, our murderer.
Yeah.
She was the assistant to Cinda Canning, Tina Fey's character.
Yep, rival podcaster of the...
Yeah. When they went to the how she came into the scene, I thought it was weird that she just showed up in Cinda's office, just opened the doors like, I'd like a job.
Yeah.
Little banter back and forth. Eventually, I got the job.
Yeah.
It's like, there's no secretary or receptionist. There's probably about 2 other people before you can come into the office of arguably the biggest podcaster in the country.
Yeah.
That's like going up to Howard Stern, just going up in the building and exiting the elevator and walking into his office. Hey, Howard Stern, I'd like a job. It doesn't happen that way.
Sure. I think, they're taking some liberties. There were a couple other kind of plot holes that I didn't quite understand. Like when things were heating up and they felt like Lucy was in danger, Charles put her in like a car service and told them to take her back to her mom. And evidently that didn't happen, because then the next time we saw her, she was back in Charles's apartment. I believe that was the next time. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's a couple plot holes, but it's not stuff that really takes you out of it too much.
Sure.
This show is like really, this season anyway, in my opinion, had a lot of red herrings. You know what I mean? Like at first they wanted you to think, I think maybe Alice, and then maybe Michael Rappaport's character, and then Tina Fey's character.
Yep.
And then they had like the little backstory segments on Poppy. So then maybe they're just trying to confuse you a little bit.
Sure.
But overall, good show. I think second seasons are usually kind of I don't want to say worst, but toughest seasons for shows, and sophomore slump and all that. But I think they pulled it off pretty well. I'm starting to get a little with the show, just because they seem to be doing a lot of the celebrity cameo guest starring. Like Amy Schumer was in this season. I don't know what she was doing there.
Yeah, I don't know.
She didn't really bring anything, right?
No. Yeah.
She was there for maybe 2 episodes worth.
Yeah.
And then she's gone.
Yep.
So why?
I don't know.
And then we have Paul Rudd.
I almost forgot all about that.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. But I think Paul Rudd's going to be in season 3, right?
Well, yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, he has to be. He's essentially the next murder victim.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I thought the end of the finale, it flashes a year later. Oliver's directing this big play, and this big, kind of testy actor played by Paul Rudd. And then before the curtain goes up, him and Charles Savage kind of get into it.
Yep.
And that seemed very phony to me, but almost to the point where I was thinking, is this like a play within a play?
Sure.
Because it was very like, even Steve Martin was kind of hamming it a little bit to Paul Rudd, like, you son of a bitch, you bastard, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it'll be interesting how that unfolds. I kind of was with you. Like, it seemed a little hokey.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I'm sure they'll work it all out in season 3. I'm sure it'll be fine.
I'm sure it's hard to be mad at Paul Rudd.
Right? Who doesn't love Paul Rudd?
I mean, I do.
I know you do. Only Murders in the Building, season 2 in the books. I would recommend it. Yeah. I think especially if you like the first one, go check it out.
Sure.
But I think if you haven't watched this show, watch season 1 first. I think it's better.
Absolutely.
And they're both good, but I think season 1 is better. Cool?
Cool.
Moving on to a show that Jody's been watching, but I have not.
Yeah.
The Handmaid's Tale.
Yes. Season 5.
You've watched all the seasons.
I have. Yep.
And I think we might have touched on this way back.
Okay.
To recap, we started it together.
We did?
Yeah, we
I don't even remember that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we started episode 1. I think we finished the first episode.
Yeah.
And then we started the second one. And then maybe we started it and it got late. We had to go to bed. And I just kind of came to the realization, like, this is too dark right now. Because it was right in the middle of, at least when we were watching it, when a lot of tension and stress about the future of not only our country, but we were in COVID stress. It was too dark and too like, oh my God, this feels like it could actually happen. I don't want to watch this.
Yeah.
You kept watching.
I did. Yeah. And I can see the parallels. You can make some lines drawn maybe and projections into the future. I'm not sure, but I think, sometimes it's like, oh, this might actually happen. Like,
yeah.
I'm not going to get into politics or religion or any of that stuff here, but sometimes the show is a little like, wow, this could really happen.
Great shows can kind of parallel what's going on in the world around them.
Mm-hmm.
And a show like Handmaid's Tale, based on a book, definitely feels relevant.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not the only one. You're not the only one who's felt that way.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen the handmaid costume at various rallies, or picketing of whatever it may be.
Yep.
And it's very. I think my issue with the show is it's a good show, but it just is striking a little too close to home.
Sure.
And I get anxious with it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But you've enjoyed it, right?
I have, because I'm that sucker who has hope that one person like June Osborne can make a huge impact and a difference when things seem bleak and down and dark, that there is a glimmer of resistance and hope there that things could be different or change for the better. So yeah, I just still keep on watching, because there's that hope that she's going to be triumphant and the people that are with her are going to be triumphant, you know.
And for those who, I'm sure everybody knows what Handmaid's Tale is by now, but the 30-second version of what the show's about is...
Yeah, so something has happened to world population where most women have become infertile. I think they kind of flash back to some news clips, maybe a few seasons back, about like, you know, environmental factors and pollution have contributed to people aren't able to reproduce and have children. Well, there are a few small percentage of people that can. But society in what we know as the United States is now Gilead, and Gilead is very kind of religious. Yeah, very heavily religious. And so they think it's God's will that these women who are able to reproduce have their babies, and even if they're forced to. So, you know, trigger warning, there's raping of women, there's stealing of their children.
Like systematic rape.
Absolutely.
It's very much condoned.
Yep.
And it's formalized, right?
Yes. It's kind of a religious ceremony, essentially. Yes.
So correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to get too much detail, but like the wife of one of the religious guys sits at the head of the woman, who's the fertile concubine, we'll say, and just watches as her husband impregnates. So
it's creepy and disgusting and wrong. And anyway, and so, you know, then, you know, there are women that can't get pregnant, and they are imprisoned in farms that are working camps. So yeah, it's kind of a scary society, and you can't resist. You can't talk about it. You can't get out of line at all.
The sad thing is, I think why the show is a little scary to me is there are people out there who think this is fine. Like women should be subservient and essentially just, you know, ovens to bake their seed.
Yeah.
And do dishes. But it's like that cranked up to 1,000.
Absolutely.
But it feels like it's like the show is science fiction, right? But it feels
it's classified as that.
It feels like it could be real.
It could be real. I mean,
not to get too deep.
No, but you give power to the wrong people that make these decisions and enforce them with violence. I mean, fear is powerful, as we've seen in history. Fear is a tool that is used to get people to do all kinds of things that maybe they wouldn't normally do or go along with. But yeah, it definitely feels like, not to get all like doomsday and like, oh, everything's terrible, but this could possibly happen. I don't know.
Let me ask you this. Why do you watch Handmaid's Tale? I'm not prejudging here.
I think it's rooting for the little guy to win. You know, I'm kind of always a sucker for that in stories, and now I'm kind of vested in it. It's like I got to see it all the way through. You know,
the little guy being June.
Yes,
the main character played by Elizabeth Moss.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And to me, as a mom, like there's there's a powerful bond there. She's just trying to get her kid back, and so that resonates with me. It's like, oh my gosh, yes, if somebody ever took one of my kids, like, holy cow, no. I mean, I would be on a rampage to find them or get them back, And
that makes me think of one of the many things that this show could be about. It could be about motherhood. It could be about the patriarchy. It could be about religion, politics.
Oh, there's all kinds of stuff in there, all kind of encompassed into one.
It could be about foreign policy in a way, because there's a lot of Canada, Gilead /US type of stuff, right?
Yeah, there's some negotiations and exchanges and political things that happen. But yeah, it's I don't know. It can be sad, but it can also be like, yes, they defeated that person, or yes, they got out, or you're just always kind of rooting for that resistance to kind of win,
I know of one bad character's fate, but are there a few of the, there's like the kind of twisting the mustache evil character, asshole. Are there a lot of like comeuppance scenes for those guys?
Yeah, there are some.
Okay, that's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are some.
Yeah.
I mean, still to be determined. There's still a lot of what I view as bad people in Gilead, and they kind of hide behind the religion, which also kind of has some parallels to today.
There are those people.
Yep. So, there's that aspect to it where you're just like, that is not Christian. That is not what
is it Christianity in the show?
They talk about God. They don't necessarily name Christianity.
It seems like they have pseudonyms. Like there's not pastors, or correct me if I'm wrong. There's commanders. I
think those are just people in power of the people of the land.
All right.
Commanders are.
But it seems like they've taken Christianity and they kind of tweaked it a little bit so that so they're not saying this is Christianity. They're saying, well, it's kind of like that.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, they've taken it and kind of morphed it into a form of government.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I see that in today's politics as well.
Right.
Like, no, you shouldn't rule with the Bible. We should rule with the law here.
Yeah.
But
a lot of stuff going on with that show.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting. It has a lot of good cast, a lot of good acting. I do get lost in it, in these characters, and you do want to see the bad ones get revenge, and and then every once in a while, like, you get a glimpse into how they got to where they're at as a bad guy, and you almost kind of feel for them. They kind of appeal to the human side.
I was gonna say they're humanizing them.
Yeah,
that's good, because you don't want just like a cartoon bad guy,
right?
I want to know their motivations, how they came to this point. What before this moment made them say, you know what, it's okay to rape women because you need a kid,
right?
But season 5.
Yeah.
You're a couple episodes in?
Yeah, I think partially through episode 2.
It's all good?
Yeah. It's a little slow, and it's a little bit about a struggle that June is having. Spoilers here, but she's gotten out, but, her oldest child is still in, and, she's kind of torn between seeking revenge and, oh yeah, I'm a mom. Like, what kind of person does that make me if I am so vengeful, So she's kind of struggling with that so far. And
I think she could tell her daughter once she's safe, like, look, getting revenge, not the way to go, unless you're me and you've gone through all this shit, X, Y, Q, R, P, Q, A, B, X, Y. Then you can get revenge.
Right. Yeah.
That's okay.
It's kind of justified, right?
Yeah. The kid on the bus steals your iPhone. Revenge is not necessary.
I think she just, sees her child and feels like, what have I done? How am I going to explain this someday? And, all that. So.
And is this the last season?
I thought there was one more coming.
I was going to say, the show's got to be winding up.
I'm not sure, but yeah, I believe it's winding down. If not season 5, I think there might be a season 6.
Okay.
So.
All right. Handmaid's Tale, approved by Jody.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, it is kind of dark. It is kind of depressing sometimes, but I'm always rooting for that underdog. So I'll stick it out.
Go, June, go.
That's right.
Go, June, go. Hashtag Go, June, go.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's going to do it for us on this Married with Channels podcast. Make sure you give us some good reviews. Give us 5-star reviews. That helps other people find the pod.
Share. Tell your friends.
Absolutely. Do that too. And until next time, I'm Moose.
And I'm Jody.
We'll see you.
Bye.